Hi, everyone. Bonjour, hola. It's really great to have you guys here. I'm Lizzie, so I'm the community lead at Softr. I was probably in your inbox this week reminding you of the event. I absolutely love any chance I get to be able to actually do community stuff in person. So this is really special for me, and hopefully it's been a really great week so far for you guys. So really curious, just 2 questions with show of hands, and I promise I won't do any more show of hands. How many of you are here from France? Is it most of us from, and then we have some Softr Barcelona people. Oh, wow, okay, and then Spain. Awesome.
US.
Barcelona. US, hey, me too. Sort of. Did you come from the US? Wow, what part? Very nice, very cool. Austin, maybe? That's great. Well, welcome. It's a long, I actually fly there tomorrow. It's a long flight. Okay, so yes, I'm Lizzie. Welcome, guys. So based off of some of the survey answers, there's a mix of folks here that some are maybe not as familiar with Softr. Some of you guys are experts. We have a couple that raised their hand to showcase your app today, which I'm really excited about. I think that's kind of the most exciting part, so thank you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just kind of go through a brief presentation on like setting the foundation. Who's Softr? What are we doing? What's our history? Where are we going? That kind of thing. And then Iker, our head of design here, who also lives in Barcelona, he will be doing a presentation on the future of design in Softr, which for those of you that are familiar with Softr, you probably know the limitations in terms of design, and that's something we're really prioritizing this year. So I found that it's a really exciting topic for a lot of our users and our customers to see where it's headed, because we have a lot of exciting growth in that realm happening this year. So we'll present on that, and then kind of open mic if you guys, of course, questions, and then we'll have a couple people come up and showcase what you're working on in Softr. I'll also dive into the app a little bit too, so you can see what it looks like. All right, cool. So let's get started. Enough of that. So Softr, how it started. Softr is only a couple of years old. So first version was 2021, I believe, went live. This is what it looked like at the time. It was started by our co-founders, Miriam and Artur, in a kitchen in Berlin. And it honestly first started as like a website builder. So basically a no-code website builder, very simple, but they've had really like great response and true word of mouth, like organic growth is really what catapulted to where we are today, which is just 2 years later. We've grown exponentially in a lot of ways. So we now have over 100,000 people using Softr. We've hit a lot of milestones in a short amount of time. We've released a ton of features improvements. And as of last week, we've now started growing our data sources because we've been solely based on Airtable up to this point. And now we have future plans to release into many different, accept many different data sources. So lots of really cool things. We did launch on Product Hunt last week. That was fun. We were able to be the #1 product on Product Hunt for the day for our Google Sheets release. So now where is Softr? So we started out as kind of this MVP website builder. Now we've really evolved into a more powerful application. And now we say we're a platform that really enables anyone to build software without the need for development. That's kind of like, you know, the no-code principle to begin with. But specifically with Softr, I would say we are an intuitive front end to your data, right? So what we are allowing people to do is, especially we're finding that people working internally at companies and businesses are finding powerful use cases. People that are traditionally working in depth in really messy spreadsheets, sharing those spreadsheets across organizations, it can get really messy. So Softr is kind of a solution to that. It allows you to build a beautiful front end for your data set and sharing it internally or with whomever. We have user authentication. Also, you have the ability to create actions. And then also the biggest thing is being able to create different user groups and set definitions for permissions and things like that. So if you want John from marketing to only to be able to see a certain subset of the app, you can set that permission. Or if you want managers to be able to update and edit parts of the app, you can set that permission as well. So it's really grown into kind of this powerful tool that allows you to set up something in a matter of, honestly, hours. So In the no-code landscape, we have been called, not kind of, the Canva of no-code platforms. So what that means is like there's a really low barrier to entry with Softr. So in the no-code landscape, if you look at like Bubble as an example, Bubble is a super, super powerful platform. A lot of its capabilities are endless, but there's a much higher barrier to entry, similar to how Adobe is the same way. Illustrator, Photoshop, for example, you have to take a lot of courses. It takes a lot of time and investment to be able to use those tools. That's where Canva came along to serve a need and saying, hey, I think there's a possibility where we can just empower the average person to be able to create the graphics that they need and do it easily, and it still looks good. So that's kind of how we have positioned ourselves and where we intend to remain. So it's kind of a tightrope walk, and it's a balancing act between continuing to be functional and powerful and have a lot of capabilities while still maintaining that it's super easy to use and set up and build, where anyone can kind of just like create an application, create an account, play around for a few hours and have built an app. It's difficult to do that in applications like Softr, like Bubble, for example. So that's kind of where we are in the landscape, I would say, of no-code tools. So where are we headed? Our mission now is to empower billions of knowledge workers to create their own tools using existing data from various sources. So I basically just said this, but one of the other key features of Softr is that within the app, you can use multiple data sources. You can use multiple bases. You can use Google Sheets. We've seen where some companies are so large, some departments are using Google Sheets, some are using Airtable. You can bring all of that into one app if you need to, which is kind of a unique feature of Softr that you don't see with a lot of other tools. So here are just some kind of like tidbits of where we're going based in like literally just over the past 2 years. A lot of this has happened in the last year. So our apps have advanced. Everything I just kind of mentioned, the user authentication, I have such a hard time with that word, and being able to define user groups and set visibility settings for the app, editing and permissions, action buttons, all of that has made Softr a lot more powerful. We're also moving horizontally. So we've noticed in a lot of research this past year that at companies, there is this need for multiple different departments to kind of design their own tools, right? This is probably very familiar for you guys as no coders. So we're kind of jumping on that because we see where Softr can really fit that need, where a marketing team that's not super technical needs to build a dashboard, a content calendar, a campaign tracker, and they don't necessarily have the investment to go to their in-house developers. They can just use Softr. While at the same time, we can have the HR department and they're building an applicant tracker, an employee directory, different things like that for their department. So we want it to turn into like a horizontal tool, and it's already becoming that way. I've already touched on this, so we're becoming data agnostic. You're going to see a lot more data sources being released this year. We've done a lot of fundamental work on the back end to make it easier for us to now add new data sources, as it took us a while to go from kind of Airtable to Google Sheets. So you'll see us with speed and rolling out more data sources to make us more data agnostic. That has always been the plan. Action buttons were released this year. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the concept of action buttons. This is super, super powerful for Softr. Again, allowing your users to basically have CRUD capabilities, create, update, delete, all that good stuff. Templates are a big part of Softr, so huge for product adoption, especially for people that are not familiar with no code. I mean, no code is kind of a bubble, right? Like we're in this little like great bubble and we're all so excited about it, but most of the world still doesn't know what no code is. So when they approach a tool like Softr, they're typically probably also looking at vertical solutions first. So if it's an HR team, they're like, I need an applicant tracker. They're comparing one no-code tool like Softr or Glide or something like that to a vertical solution. It can be a little bit difficult to not only sell this way of doing things, it's like the mental model of like, yeah, it's different, but kind of also like selling no-code. We have to sell no-code along with selling the tool. Templates are a great way to get people to product adoption faster, especially when they're new to this kind of space. So I noticed that people are familiar with no code. Maybe they don't start with templates. You guys know what to do. You're going to build from scratch. But we found that templates, we've expanded into lots of different templates. We released like 20 more last week because it helps newer people get to product adoption. Okay, where are we going this year? So biggest user problems, I've touched a little bit on this. Business grade functions. So some of that stuff we've already rolled out. Action buttons was a big one like a month ago. That was a very necessary piece of the puzzle to bring this use case into businesses. Data sources, we've already touched on that. Limited design flexibility. I'm gonna let Iker talk on a lot of that. So those are the 3 gaps that we've identified this year that we're going to fix. So advanced business apps is kind of the first vertical. So action buttons, we've released that. We've also released some new charts, like Charts 2.0 is what we're calling it. It's a much more in-depth feature, allowing concepts like aggregation and things like that. So we've noticed that businesses really want to build out dashboards. It's a big part of this no-code puzzle for them. I want to be able to take all this data in my spreadsheet, put it in a beautiful dashboard, and share it with the team. So our new version of Charts allows them to do that with even more functionality. We're also in the process of designing brand new forms. So think like Typeform, but within Softr. So conditional logic, all that good stuff. And then new blocks, templates, et cetera. Iker will also go into that. I left this one intentionally blank. This is a huge vertical for us this year, a huge lever of improvement, but Iker will go into it. And then the building experience. So lots of current features can be improved in Softr. I'm sure many of you that have built in Softr have probably seen where we can improve. We see it. We listen to our community constantly for feedback. So this year, we're also really focusing on taking a step back at the past 2 years and how fast we've released things and how far we've come. And we're saying, okay, now what do we need to do to really improve what we've already released to make the building experience have less friction, make it more of an enjoyable experience to build. And then we've talked about this, connecting to data sources. So as of right now, we have Google Sheets and Airtable. REST API will be coming out. Yeah, we have several other ones, but all within this year, you'll probably see a rollout of like 4 to 5, I would say. And then building a Softr ecosystem. So this is something I've been working on as a community lead. So I'm sure many of you are familiar. Webflow, for example, I think Glide does it. Notion, of course, templates, allowing a template marketplace. So allowing a place where you guys can build apps. You can simply copy it into the template marketplace and sell yourself. We're not going to allow for selling yet in our first version. Eventually we will, but it will be a lot easier for you to take your apps and then sell them on places like Gumroad and things like that. So that will be releasing in the next month, if all goes to plan, our Softr template marketplace. So really excited about that. It's going to be somewhat of a product and community initiative because we can't do it without our community. And then, yeah, really for me, continuing to nurture and learn from our community. So our community has grown exponentially over the past 2 years. I started in August. There was already a community that existed within Softr. It was just my job to come in and really help support the people that are here talking about us, excited about us, building with us. So yeah, that's a very important pillar for us, is to stay close to the community. If you're ever on our forum or anything like that, you'll notice our co-founder, Archer, is like on there every day answering people's questions. He's very close to the community, very close to the product. We also have experts, things like that, all things that we've been rolling out to kind of, yeah, continue us on this mission of growing Softr, moving into these new verticals and becoming successful. And also at the same time, like giving the no-code name, helping to give the no-code name more of that credibility. I think the more of us companies that do a really good job at this, the better it is for the whole the industry as a whole, right? The better we can sell this to people that don't really know what's happening. Okay, so that was my quick little overview of where we are, where we've come. It's honestly really cool to see like how quickly we've evolved in just a short amount of time. So now I'm just going to quickly let you guys see, how many of you have actually like logged into Softr and played with the tool? Okay, so most of you have. Should I skip this part? Because we have people that are, this is super casual. I was going to log in, show you the process of like copying a template, what it looks like, and showing kind of the different capabilities. Show of hands, or we can go to Iker and he's going to talk about design and Softr, and then we give more time for people just coming up and showing like what they're working on and tinkering. It's up to you guys. I'm happy to